Peace, prosperity, salutations. Another week with real life, real talk with Brother John, myself, Yarima Karama. Brother John, how you doing today, and how is life treating you, my brother?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. Life is lifing. You know,
Yeah,
do what it do.
that it is. And they got oh my goodness, they got a whole lot going on. And not just in the U.S. arena, but on the global arena. And I'm going to tell you something, just to kind of get right to it. I want to kind of go through, and see how, you know, uh, how you're doing on the front for your, what your hobby and your love, which is filming, and you
Hmm.
have. I want to go into a little bit about your film company and what you all are doing, you and your son and your production company. Uh, but I got this interesting note, and I don't know if you remember these notes, but it just came in. It's literally hot off the press. I got this like maybe about 15 minutes ago.
Hmm.
And this is how it starts. And I want to see if you have any recollection of this. Um, and then we'll go from there. But it
All
just kind
right.
of it just you'll see how things come full circle. So this is hot off the press. It says white hat alliances across the globe are executing final phases against the Khazarian mafia and their deep state puppets.
Hmm.
Sources from Asian secret societies, high-level Pentagon insiders, and M16 confirm. Lo and
Am
behold, mass arrests of top cabal figures are underway right now, with sealed indictments being unsealed in early 2026. The fake Biden regime is crumbling faster than ever. Insiders report the actor in the mask is malfunctioning, and military tribunals are prepared for the real traitors behind the stolen 2020 election. I got this, and I was like, and it keeps going and going, and I'm just like, if you all don't miss me with this BS again,
it sounds like some Q mess, man. Just trust the
there,
plan. Trust the
there,
plan.
there, you hit it right on the head, Q. You hit it right on the head. That was Q before.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The more things change, the more they stay the same, bro. I mean, it's so much gaslighting going on that people between AI and gaslighting, you don't know what to believe, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't, it's the line between reality and what is real is becoming harder and harder to tell on a day-to-day basis. I mean, when they first came out with these AI things, they were pretty easy to tell, but now you gotta watch and pay attention to, and you can still catch them a little bit. But just imagine 5 or 6 years from now, you ain't gonna be able to tell nothing.
yeah. And what's interesting, there was a this brother, PhD, that I was watching the other day, and he was saying that he was talking to a group of people, a group of black people, and they were saying that, you don't, with the way the reading isn't important for our children as
Hmm.
much as AI is.
I
And he
disagree with that.
said, he said, "Are you Negroes crazy?" And he said, in order to operate AI to its ultimate function, our children absolutely have to know how to read, because you got to know how to input that information
You're
first
right.
of
You
all.
got to know how to write the prompts.
Yeah, and so, but it just goes to show, like you were just saying, how people will take that philosophy and run with it like, okay, AI is going to save all of our lives. And I'm seeing videos right now online, and I can't tell the difference if it's fact or fiction. I really can't in some cases. And because I have a friend who delves in AI, she's like, nope, AI. Nope,
Yeah.
AI. Oh no, that's real, Urema. And so, but I'm having a hard time. And so I can imagine what the rest of society is going through.
Yeah, and like I say, even now, it's easy to identify. Well, not easy to identify, but if you know what you're looking for. But just imagine as the technology improves, it's going to be like Star Trek, man. You know, you're going to have Data sitting over there. You don't know if he's a man or or a robot.
Yeah.
But you know what's on the horizon too is the China. You know, and China is they've come up with a free version of Chat GPT, their version of Chat GPT
Mm.
that's free, and you know they say they only spent a fraction of the money that they've been spending on AI in the U.S. and they're building these huge data centers and
Mm.
all of the money that's going into it because they're building these data centers based on today's technology. But as the technology improves, just like everything else, you know, I remember when a 5 gig hard drive was like, you know, you could hold it in your hand.
Hmm.
Now you got a USB drive that holds twice or three times as much as that, and it'll fit on your finger. So just
Right.
imagine as the technology improves, and they've spent all this money on these huge data centers, and then you don't need those data centers, and these data centers are sucking up water.
Mm.
They're increasing people's
Mm.
energy costs because of the electricity, and you know, some people there's going to be a come to Jesus meeting when when the you know the Chinese come out with whatever they're coming out with, and then all this money that they've put out in this investments in our current AI technology. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, that's I mean, 2 or 3 years from now, that stuff may not even be needed, and they're betting the bank on AI. You know, I was saying it kind of reminds them of the internet bubble. You know, when
Mm.
everybody was running out buying, you know, pets.com was selling for like $100,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy stuff like that. Now, some of those internet companies did stay around, you know, unfortunately, like Google and, you
Hmm.
know, Yahoo and some of the search engines and whatnot. But a lot of that stuff fell by the wayside, and AI is going to kind of be like that too, I think. There are going to be some companies that survive, and there are going to be a lot that don't. And then, you know, what happens with all that money they spent, all
Well,
that investment?
it's interesting you say that because they're and I don't have their name. Maybe you can help, John, because I know you a little bit more in depth with that than I am. I think they're called Nvidia. Nvidia,
And
they
Nvidia, yeah, they make the cards. Basically they're just hyped up video cards.
oh, okay. I thought they were part of that AI bubble and they're like worth trillions now.
Well, they are. I
Um,
mean, so most of the AIs run off of their chips, the chips that Nvidia makes.
okay.
So yeah,
I don't know if they would still be a good company to invest in because I don't know if they've reached their peak. It seems like they're still climbing, but as far as investment opportunities, if ones, I mean, obviously, it's kind of like anything else. Had you gotten in early,
yeah,
to watch your money grow and had taken that bet, now they're like in the trillions. They're like we're
yeah,
trillions
yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
Well,
and if they start to fall, I don't know.
and they've fallen a couple of times. They had
Mm.
some big drops here. I don't really don't follow them that much because I don't have any money tied up in them, but I do know that they're um, part of I guess they call them like the FANG, the seven, the seven companies basically that are keeping the market propped up. And
Mm.
Nvidia is one of them. I think Facebook is one. I
Mm.
think there was like seven companies, but you know, speaking of things that people missed out on, have you been paying attention to the price of silver and gold these days?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to a metals group.
Okay, okay.
And it was funny because the when the lotto was just up to like
I won
1.8 billion or
billions.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was up there. And I was talking to a friend and was like, he was like, well, if you hit it? because I'm gonna buy a ticket when it's at that point. I'm gonna buy just
Yeah,
one
I
ticket,
did
just
too,
to,
man. I was like, I don't
yeah,
usually buy them either, but I was like, what the heck? What can I lose? $1?
yeah. Well, I do it because there was an elder that told me years ago. Um, he told me, and he was just, he said, I said, he asked me if I gamble, and I said no. And he said, well, you owe it to yourself to play the lottery when it gets big. And I said, what? And he said, well, just think about it like this. He said, you probably won't win, but if you don't buy a ticket, you're
You
definitely
definitely
not
not
going to
gonna win.
win. So,
Yeah.
so when it gets big, I buy one ticket. But a partner of mine was asking, like, if you, let's say you hit, what are you going to do? One of the first things you're going to do. I said, go buy gold.
Yeah,
I'm going to going to go buy like gold. And it obviously won't go all to gold, but
right.
there's going to be some mill tickets that go to gold. So,
Yeah, and it used to be investment advisors, gold wasn't even mentioned. It wasn't, they say have 60% bonds, 40% stocks, and some mixture of assets like that. But now they've started to add gold.
mhm,
And yeah, silver this past week, man, it was just crazy. It was up over almost $80. When I first started paying attention to silver, it was around 20, $15 an ounce. Gold was maybe like $1,000 an ounce.
mhm,
So now both of those, gold is up in the 4,400 somewhere, and silver is up and down. But it hit this back in the 80s. The Hunt brothers, I don't know, they were the people that owned. I think they owned the Chiefs. They're out in Kansas City. They tried to corner the market on silver by some hook or crook. But anyway, they got uh, kicked out of that position. But
mhm,
silver was at $50 in 1980, and so
mhm.
just think about it. What asset in 1980 that was $50 is $50 today, or was $50? Nothing.
Mm, mm,
Silver stayed at hit its all time high at $50, and then it didn't hit it again until just recently.
mhm,
So, you know, when when um when that comes up like that, not dollars, but gold and silver is real money. Gold has been real money for 5,000 years.
right.
And right now they are running out of silver, or silver is becoming scarce. China, starting tomorrow, I guess, January 1st. I didn't even know today was New Year's Eve, man. What the
Well,
heck?
I know
But
time's moving.
yeah, because I looked at the calendar when we got ready to set up. I was like, man, it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
Shoot,
yeah.
back in the day, boy, me and my brother, we would have been partying already.
Right, 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 right. And
But
then you woke up.
yeah. But then China is putting restrictions on exporting silver. And the United States just recently declared silver as a critical metal.
Hmm.
And over Thanksgiving holiday, the CME, I forget the name of it, something to do. It's like a warehouse for precious metals. They had an outage that was caused by a fan that went out and shut
Mm.
down the data center. Now, I was born yesterday. I mean, I wasn't born. I was born at night, but it wasn't yesterday.
Right, right, right.
And and I worked in IT. Those data centers have multiple redundancies. So
Mm,
for one fan to take out a data center, you're supposed to have you got and the type of data that they are storing requires a lot more than just one failure point.
hmm.
So basically, what they surmise is that someone came in looking for a delivery, and they don't
Mm,
have the gold. They didn't have whatever they were looking for, so hence the shutdown. And yeah, and so since then, silver has been like since Thanksgiving, it's just been on a tear, man. It's up and down. They keep trying to allegedly manipulate the price of it. Nobody really
mhm.
knows, but some people know. But yeah, it's a lot of fishy stuff going on, man. And Like I said, they're starting to limit the amount of silver that can be exported from the U.S. from China. The
Mhm.
U.S. really doesn't make that much anyway.
Right.
Mexico is a big producer. China's a big, and China is where they do all of the processing of most of the metal. You know, when they have to refine it and all of that stuff that we sent over to China, so we could pay cheap labor is coming back to
Mhm.
haunt now because we don't manufacture anything in the United States pretty
Mhm.
much, of anything of any industrial value. We still make some clothes and some motorcycles and I don't even know if we still make Harleys in the US now, but all of that stuff they shipped over to China.
Mhm.
And like those rare earth metals that they needed, the U.S. started raising those tariffs, and China said, "Well, we're going to cut you off these metals," and they need those metals for weapons.
Mhm.
And so they shot themselves in the foot. These rich, industrialists wanting to make more and more money,
Yeah.
don't care about the United States. We don't. People don't need jobs. So if there's no jobs in the U.S., how are they going to pay for the stuff?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's some interesting times coming up ahead, bro.
It's
Especially
interesting. No, no, go ahead. Please continue.
no.
Especially,
I'm just saying it's just going to be it's going to be it's going to be some stuff.
well, it's interesting to watch how China moves. They haven't fired one bullet.
Mm-mm.
They haven't fired one bullet, and they got so much control. People really need to pay attention to that. Um, and the land that they have in this country.
Right. And they're still letting them buy land, man. They're buying land next to like military bases.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that just doesn't make sense. If there's such a big enemy, why are you letting them buy land in the United States and build facilities right next to some military bases?
Yeah.
Don't make sense, bro. Unless you know something I don't know.
Unless there's been an exchange of power. And the thing is that the American people, we're just the pawns on the
Yeah.
board. We're the pawns. And a lot of times chess players know that, yeah, you want maybe a pawn or two to be able to make it to the other side so that they can become kings and queens, but for the most part, you sacrifice
Yeah.
pawns.
Yeah.
They're sacrificial lambs. And so, unfortunate.
Yeah, and we see all of this stuff going on. You just mentioned China, and I look at all of the money and weaponry that we've sent to Ukraine. Our supplies are low, and
Mhm.
and they like those some of those missiles they were firing. They're paying $2 million missiles shooting down a $20,000 drone. And you can't you do the math. You can't keep doing that for very long.
Right.
And this whole thing with Trump going to Venezuela, they, you see right through that nonsense, man. It's Venezuela is not where all the fentanyl's coming from.
No,
So they
no.
want something. They want Venezuela's got oil. They got the rare earth metals. You see, they hijacked two ships of with gas oil is supposed to be going to China. Well, I was listening to this military guy. He was saying that those first two ships they hijacked, the operators of the boat did what they, basically, I guess it might have been an inside job. There was
Mm,
a third ship that they tried to hijack that was not commandeered by someone from, that was compromised, and that ship did not stop.
mhm.
And you start taking
Hmm.
money that like I've already paid for something and you not giving it to me,
Yeah.
that's already the blockade was already grounds for war.
Yes.
So yeah, we it's man, I tell you, it's just so much stuff going on, bro. It kind of reminds me. I guess it's probably what it felt like when Cuba, when the Russian missile crisis was going on in Cuba,
Yeah. Yeah.
just but it's we got it going on multiple fronts. We've got Ukraine, we got China.
Yeah.
That now Trump's talking about he's gonna protect Christians in Nigeria. I was like, look at this. But you about to make me cuss, man. But like, who believes this stuff, man? This and it's we
The
are the
world is a
American
stage.
people. American people are so gaslit, man. We just and people are slowly waking up too, man. But it's I don't know if it's going to be fast enough.
Yeah, the world is a stage, and you're right. I mean, and um, I was listening to this. Just the smaller things outside of that, like what's going on in this country,
Oh yeah, don't I ain't even
with
touched on that.
with all the aid that's going to like Somalians and these different groups, and how you have these different groups now who are they're becoming mayors and of cities
Hmm.
and it's like a Trojan horse style attack.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say attack because of the regime that we have been up under. It's kind of even hard to call it an attack when you've been up under this repressive and oppressive
Hmm.
regime. Um, but I mean, you clearly see an influx, and you see where they have almost put it's like they position themselves in these certain arenas, and now they're showing themselves.
Hmm.
It's very interesting, and this is kind of what I'm talking about because it's not just happening here, but I want you to listen to this clip real quick, and then
Is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim. This was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England. And there are more than 50 Sharia councils. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation.
Hmm.
63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. State-supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodation. Every school in the UK is required to teach about Islam. The number one most common baby name in England is Muhammad. This is not immigration. This is invasion. London is Muslim.
and
Well,
it would behoove us to not overstand that some of that, maybe not to that magnitude, or maybe it is to that magnitude, but it's definitely happening here in the US as well. And I'm not, I'm neutral on if it should happen or not, just because of how this country was taken from the original inhabitants. So but I do think that it is something that um, we should not shy our attention away from.
well, I've been listening to some of the old
Mayor
uh,
of Birmingham.
Bill Cooper's. He's got this series called uh, Babylon something. I forget what, but it was like 18 videos that he shot.
Mhm.
But basically, you know, um, they were. He was saying that um, their plan is to take over the world. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, you can see it happening, man. And that happens in the U.S. too a lot. You see,
Mhm.
we're sending all this money over to that little country that can't be named,
Yeah.
and they're getting money for school and medical and all kinds of stuff, and you got people over here can't, you know, got veterans living on the street.
Yeah.
But you give that money, you say something about it, you're you know, you're one of them. You're anti this. No, you know, my tax dollars should be spent in America, not on any foreign country. You know, and that foreign aid thing is nothing but a bribe anyway. You know, we the United States has over close or over 800 military bases around the world.
Hmm.
You know, why do we need that? And I think I've talked about that many times. And when you look at the life cycle of empires, that last step is overextending your military and debasement of the currency. And that is what's happening right now. The just this week, the Fed had to do this thing they called a repo,
Hmm.
where they have to inject liquidity into the financial system because the banks overnight, the banks will loan money to each other back and forth. But then when the banks don't trust each other, and it then the Fed has to step in, and they've been pumping in billions of dollars, buying, you know, printing dollars and buying their bonds with them. That's like, you know, you printing monopoly money and going to buy stuff with it.
Right.
You know, but they can do that because they're the Fed.
Yeah.
So we're looking at you know, it's going to be sad, man. It's like because everybody's tied up in the. Like, most people they force us into the stock market. You know, way back, companies used to have to pay a pension, but
Hmm.
they rigged that up and somehow they came up with this 401k plan. You know,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
now our money, you know, your money is tied up in the stock market.
Yeah.
And if this thing goes down, you know, we're what they call unsecured investors. You know, we're the last in line to get money from any calamity that might happen. Like in the bank, if the bank goes down, your money is their money. And once you
Yeah.
put it in the bank, it's not your money anymore. You become an unsecured investor, and
Yeah.
you are not first in line to get your money back if something happens. So it's, you know, it's going to be a rude awakening. And that's why, you know, I don't know if you see all these commercials and everybody's talking about gold and silver as a and it's not, gold and silver is not going to make you rich, but what it does is it protects your purchasing power.
Hmm.
You know, just like I said, 1980, an ounce of silver was $50.
Yeah.
You know, what can you buy that was the same, lower than the same price it was in 1980 these days? Nothing. You know, inflation, and the Fed's always talking about this 2% inflation rate
Hmm.
that they need to maintain. But that's how they're robbing us, man. They, you know, inflation is basically a hidden tax.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it's started. We talked about it years ago. It's already started. There's people that are losing their livelihoods. The problem is that the divide and conquer is so heavy,
Yep.
because if I don't feel like, or others don't feel like they're on the same playing field as these ones over here, uh, I don't really feel you. And so what's impacting you isn't impacting me. You just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The problem is that these people over here,
Ain't
there's
got no boots.
constantly, yeah, they don't have any boots, and they constantly have people joining them on a daily basis who have just lost their boots the day before.
Hmm.
And so this group up here is getting smaller. And so now they're still saying the same thing. Hey, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but they're also saying I'm not willing to help because, yeah, if I lend just a little bit too much, I
Hmm.
could be hurting myself. But it's still that false sense of American pride, like I'm doing better than you. So
Yeah.
look at me. And as long as we have that mentality, the whole country will fall. And the billionaires, they're going to keep their bunkers, they're going to keep their investments in gold, silver, and art.
Yeah.
And there will be those of us or those that are without boots, like you said, and
Yeah.
they're going to starve.
Like the man say, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah, George Carlin.
And you ain't in
Yeah.
it. But you know, man, even outside of that, you know, on the domestic front here in America, you know, we had that murder of the young man out in Tech, Utah, and your girl Candace has just been going. She's been going in on that, and
Yeah.
I, I've been watching a lot of. I see a lot of black men attacking Candace, preachers, um, other a lot of random black men. They and so when I look at this case though, they're just asking questions, and everybody wants to be you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And you can look at this story. Something just ain't right. I don't know what it is, but there's they lying, and we know that they always lie.
Yeah.
Whose neck is strong enough to stop a 30-06 bullet? That thing will go through a sheet of steel, man.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing to see, and I watch it on Twitter, man. You got the people that's in this camp and Candace camp, and you got the people who are not, and it's the divide and conquer, man.
Yeah.
And you see it everywhere. And but I there was just something about that case that is not. It reminds me of JFK, of Malcolm, Martin Luther King, RFK. It always happens,
Yeah.
and something happens, and the stories never match up. Every
Yeah.
time something like that happens, there's always something weird, some anomaly, something that just doesn't make sense. But we're supposed to not ask questions about it. And it's not just this case. It's every time something happens.
Yeah.
Every time that I don't know. I can't think of too many cases where we've had one of these shootings or some kind of attack, and then you go to look, and well, there was this guy that was there, then he wasn't there, then there was two of them, or then there was three of them, and that we found the building was obliterated, but we found his passport right here on the ground untouched.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, everything else was vaporized except his passport.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't know who's right. I'm tending to believe that she's more right than the other side, because they're just covering up. There's too many lies that they've been caught in, that whether you believe whatever side you want to believe, but there's too many lies that have been told, and that just goes to par, man. Every time something happens, we never get a story. We never get the real story. And when you start asking questions, what's the first thing they call you?
Conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy. And we know where that came from, and
Yeah.
why it came about. So I mean, it's like I say, man, the playbook never doesn't change. They might put a new uh, click in here or there, but for the most part, the stuff that has been working for decades, maybe even centuries. And we as a group, as a human race, have not gotten smart enough to figure it out. And that's what really kind of, I was gonna say, pisses me off, man, that people who have good intentions, they go into this thing with good intentions. Somehow they get something on them, they get corrupted, or whatever.
Hmm.
And then the system, they're in the system. And once they have that on you, you're not, you're gonna go along. You're gonna do what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
And it it's just we're ripe for a fall, bro. I don't know when it's gonna happen. I remember when I first woke up, maybe my buddy woke me up, man, when he first told me that 9/11 was an inside job, and I was like, "Oh man, you're crazy. There's no way. I don't believe that. No, ain't no way."
Yeah.
So I started looking into it, and I had to go back to him a couple months. I said, "Man, you might be right, dog. Something ain't right. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was, but something wasn't right." And so,
So
but
you
what
started
what
asking questions.
you start asking questions, and then that's what gets me, man. People, we become so docile, and I used to go through the airport, man, and these guys, they want to act like hardcore drill sergeant. Take your shoes off. Do this. I'm like, man, get the. I said
Yeah.
the reason we got to take our shoes off. The guy who did that didn't even go through security.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
the so-called shoe bomber. They let him on the plane at the last minute. You better get
Yeah,
your monk. And my wife, she does not like to go through the airport with me, man, because I'll give him hell, man. Because I'm like, look, dude, and I'll be telling people, look, are you American? You're sheep. You go sit here and let these people talk to you like that?
yeah. Well, I'm at a point personally in my own personal journey, and to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying for, as far as Candace Owens, and this is how I look at it, John. There are people out here that, and this is no shade on anybody. People have to do what they have to do. But there are people out here that you give them a complex math problem. Might not be many, but there's a few that can figure that out.
I ain't
There's
one
some
of
that
them.
won't. And I'm not either. There are some that won't figure it out. There are
Yeah,
some that will have to pull out pen and pay it, and it might take them half a day. There are some who can figure that shit out in their head.
yeah,
There are some people you give them puzzles. Some people can't put them together. Some people can. And so I think it comes down to inherently, I'm past the stage of trying to convince people
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's the hamster on the wheel.
That's a waste of time, bro.
It really is. But what I will say for the people that because inherently you're there have been some people who have been taught how to think. And there have been many people that have gone through this public school to prison pipeline that have been taught what to think. There's
Hmm.
a difference.
Yeah,
And so, for those that inherently know that something's wrong, you might not be able to pinpoint it specifically, but you know inherently something is wrong. You're correct. Something is wrong. And so, don't lose that. Then, when you start to ask questions, and you're told that you're crazy or you're told that you're a conspiracy theorist, know that you are on the right path.
yep.
Know that it's not your job to change anybody else's opinion on what they think, because whatever it is internally that they feel, let them
Let
run
them.
with that. But you know inherently from your position that something is wrong, it's not right. And then when you ask the questions, you can't get a feasible answer that that legitimizes one side or the other. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter. The answer that you get, if it ends up putting you in a position of asking even more questions, and
Yeah,
you ask those questions and you start to realize, wait a minute, this shit don't make sense. You know why? Because it doesn't make sense. And so don't have anybody try to change you because agents are sent.
yeah.
Sometimes they don't even know they're agents. Some of these people have been groomed to be agents. They don't even work for the federal government. They're not getting a federal paycheck, but they have been groomed to be agents and they will follow the narrative to a T.
Hmm.
You're crazy. Why? Because they have been groomed that
Yeah,
you're asking questions against the government. Shame on you. You're saying Israel is what? You're questioning Israel. Shame on you. You're saying shame on you. And so it would behoove you to get away from them.
yeah.
It would behoove because that's a battle you're not going to win. And it's a battle that if you're standing on a strong, firm foundation, they're not going to win. So it
Mm.
becomes a waste of time at that point. It really does. And that's just where I'm at with it. I'm not arguing with anybody on
Yeah,
what it is I internally know to be the truth or what I know is something's wrong.
yeah,
No, that feeling was put there for a reason. That's inherently, that comes from universe, ancestors, God, Yahweh, Allah, whatever you want to call it. That's where that feeling comes. And I'm not disengaging from it
right.
to try to tap into some illogical man-made poison that you have.
Hmm.
Not, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and but they have when I was in the army, man, they have a whole what they call a psychological operations group, which their job is to do just that, to fool the people. I think even now there's some people say it wasn't accredited to him, but one of the former CIA directors said they will know their job is complete when everything the American people believe is a lie. And you just look around, man. And just about everything that happens, business, sports, entertainment, everything is, there's so many lies that are told, and people just go along with it. I'm like you, man. It's funny, man. One time, my mom, I was doing something in Photoshop, and so we had to put together a collage of photos, and back then this was hard to do. You couldn't do it. This is like 20 years ago, maybe. And so we had to put together a family photo of different, all people into one picture. So
Yeah.
I said, well, everybody can't do that, Mom. She said, well, yeah, everybody can. I said, no, they can't. Everybody can't, everybody don't have this. So, and my son said, so just let grandma believe what she want to believe. And that's that,
Yeah.
that was that's my go-to, man. I said, I'm just gonna let you believe what you want to believe because
Yeah.
I'm not going to convince you, and you're not going to convince me because I believe what I believe, and I believe it's the truth, and I got stuff that can back it up as the truth. So there's,
Mhm.
the best thing you can do is try to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can prove me wrong and show me where you were right and I'm wrong, then I'll look at it and say, okay.
Yeah.
But see, people won't do that. They like you said, they've got this truth ingrained in them from their favorite team, the football, basketball, the politician, the movie. You go out and say something about Beyonce and see what
Mhm.
happened. The hive will come for you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Facts. Facts.
Anybody, man, you go out and say something about that's offline from the mainstream, they'll
Yeah.
come for you, man. And we are I don't know what the word. We're degenerate, man, for lack of knowledge. People depend on this AI for stuff. How many phone numbers do you? I used to know everybody's phone number that was important to me by heart, and I don't. I know my wife's phone number. I know my son's phone number. And other than that, I can still remember my phone number that we had when I was a kid, man. But how many phone numbers do you actually know these days? That just rattle off the top of your head. Not very many.
701-727-6741. I still do too. But along with that, I remember having 30, 40 phone numbers on
Yeah,
on on catalog, like
man,
that we could
because
call. And some of those numbers were businesses
yeah,
that we did had regular interactions with. Um, yeah, so a lot of that is, and some of it is good, the technology, but
yeah,
in the process of it being good,
it's dumbing us
we haven't
down.
been responsible enough to stop it from dumbing us down.
I mean,
And
they're stopping the kids from learning how to write cursive.
yeah,
Why? Why is that? I-
John, I have to say that some of that is on the parents.
true,
Um,
true that.
Some of that is on the parents because I can't put everything on the school system.
No.
If there's something that the school system says that they're not going to do that is essential for my child, I'm going to do it. Black
Hmm.
history is one. When DeSantis was talking about, whatever they were talking about, taking out the books and stuff, that's fine because I need to teach that anyway. As a matter of fact, I don't even trust you to
Right.
teach it the way it's
Whatever you teach
supposed
is
to
not
be
going to be the
taught.
truth anyway.
Exactly. So let me take that responsibility. Writing cursive, let me take that responsibility because there's going to come a point where, if the grid goes down or all this stuff breaks down, how are you going to be able to communicate? How are you going to be able to send a message? The children have to know that. So that's going to be my responsibility. And if you get too sinister, I'm going to pull my child out of your
Right.
school system,
Child.
period,
You're
because
right.
I'm not going to have you brainwash them and dumb them down. So that has been some of our irresponsibility as parents because we've had a time to hold the system accountable. But it goes back to that divide and conquer because some of the people felt like this
Let them do
system's for
it.
me.
Yeah.
This system's for me. I don't have any problem with what the system's doing with my child. Let them do it.
Mhm. Just like social media, man. The government should not be in the business of regulating a child, your child's access to social media. That should be a parent's responsibility. You know,
Absolutely.
don't give them an iPhone or limit their, you can go on the, if you got Wi-Fi, there's a way to go on there and limit time that it's on, but that they have access to Wi-Fi. And they claim they were taking TikTok because it was to protect the children, but we know who it was to protect,
Mhm.
and it's not
Exactly.
the children. So man, yeah, we've given up a lot of that control and handed it over, and maybe not handed over, some of it they took just
Mhm.
by passing so-called laws and regulations, but they always frame it as, oh, we're doing it for the children. And anytime they're doing something for the children, get ready, bend over, because it's not for the children.
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, it's going to get worse. It hasn't reached its peak yet. It's going to get worse. The internal conflicts that are taking place. You're seeing people right before your very eyes. It's crazy out here
I
in
know,
certain
man.
in certain areas. And so um, that's going to get worse, especially with the lack of jobs, lack
Mm.
of income. Like when you take into account that they say anywhere from 30 to 40% of the homeless actually work,
Hmm.
they actually have jobs. I mean, it's going to get crazy, and people are going to have to be prepared, and you're going to have to be able to think, you're going to have to be able to maneuver. Um, and the marching and all of that, throwing up banners, that shit is going to mean absolutely
It,
nothing,
it, it
especially
means
when it comes down to food.
Yeah, it means nothing now, man. They don't care if we march and made banners, but when you start messing with their money, they'll pay attention to that. But
Yeah, yeah. Go get
you
you a
know,
drug boat, and yeah, you'll be top suspect number one, especially if you got any oil backing you. But other
and
than that, I mean,
and
they don't care.
man, who's been the biggest importer of drugs into this country?
Yeah, outside
Yeah,
the CIA, FBI,
we know who it is.
Noriega.
Go look at what is it, Mena, Arkansas. That's what I'm saying, man. We have we everybody else is the villain. We're the good guys.
Yeah,
Everything we do is good. Everything we do is great. It's fabulous. It's beautiful. And we are now. I'll say we, not me, but collectively, this is one of the most corrupt regimes that has ever existed. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to go back and find one that's. I mean, they kill people that when things are about to be exposed, so this mysteriously, the guy's car just all of a sudden took off and ran into a building, sped into a brick wall. Just people disappear. Remember back in the day, all those holistic doctors that were coming up dead,
yeah,
and
like
now
90 of them.
And now you've got these people, this guy just recently that came up with the cold fusion that could have provided free energy. He
Yeah,
wound up dead. We had all those bankers that were jumping out of windows,
yeah.
and people just say, "Oh, that's just normal. That's you jumping out of windows that you can't open."
All the all the people that came up with cars that could run on water,
Yeah, yeah.
they're dead. They're
Any
gone.
anything that will benefit, and even go back to Tesla.
Yeah,
Tesla, and you know who ended up with all his papers and work that he was working on? Donald Trump's uncle. He ended up with Tesla's. They called the FBI. They called his uncle in to look at. So he ended up with all of Tesla's works. All the stuff Tesla was working on.
mm,
So man, I'm saying that at every turn, man, when it seems like we might be able to get a leg up,
Hmm.
something happens, and it's we keep hoping. I remember I never was a first time I voted in any election was Bill Clinton. I just got out the army, and I wasn't I was still under the influence that things can change. They can change things, and
Hmm.
you know, it even lasted up until Obama.
Yeah.
I think that's when the tipping point came when he came out and said that uh the NDAA, I'm gonna sign this into the law, but I'll never use it. And I'm like, nigga, you ain't gonna be president forever.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, I said, even he was corrupted, but what?
Yeah.
None of them are clean, man. It's just you just got to come to that realization, man. There is no there. If any people like the song said, why do the good die young?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
the good die young.
Yeah, that old Clinton, he was a character. All the drugs, all them damn drugs flying through Arkansas
Me,
when he was
yeah,
governor.
yeah.
Yeah, it's him and Hillary, they're a team. But yeah, it's I would just advise people to, just pay attention that stand on your truth. Stand on your truth. And
Yeah.
if you know something's not right, uh and that, you feel that, that's your truth. That's that spirit talking to you saying, hey, pay attention to that.
Hmm.
And don't let the agents come, uh, because that's their job. They feel
Yeah.
like that's their job.
And even now they've got so-called bot armies, man. You're online, you think you're arguing with a person, you might be talking to a robot.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might not even be talking to a real what was this country, man? Somewhere they had it might have been South America somewhere. They had this bot farm set up to boost their revenue. I mean, they had like hundreds of accounts, man, that were just going out liking their videos and whatnot. So yeah, so you like I said, you think you arguing with somebody? You probably not. You probably talking to to a to a robot or a bot as they call them.
No, no, that's factual because they just shoot, I think there was just a AI video got 1.2 million views.
Yeah,
So, I mean, with the bots, same thing, same premise.
yeah. But with the AI, man, one good thing about it that I have run across, I think I talked about it. Told you about it earlier. This program called Suno. Um, and my brother had been using it for a while, but he was just using it to make songs. But I ran across his brother he said, I'm gonna use it to remix a lot of stuff I've done. And I started doing that with one of my sons. I was like, man, this is crazy.
Mm,
So I play guitar. I don't play drums. I don't play bass, or play bass a little bit, but I don't play piano.
hmm.
And when I do use those instruments in some of the sounds, most of the time it's samples. I'll use a sample for drums or sample for a keyboard sound.
Yeah,
But this thing is, so I put one of my songs in, and I'm like, man. So it maintained the integrity of the song was the song, but the instruments that I don't play were
yeah.
just played like a professional musician, man. I was like, wow, this
Wow,
is crazy.
wow.
So if you're a producer in the studio, you don't need to call in another bass player now from now. You just, and that's kind of, that's going to put some people at odds, who are musicians. But it's like anything else, man. If you don't adapt, you're gonna be like the dinosaur.
Yeah,
You,
facts.
you gotta, it's not for everybody, but if that's what you do, you better learn
Yeah,
how to use it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. It can be something valuable, but it can also be that double-edged sword. It can
Oh,
be
oh,
something powerful and
always.
positive, and it can be something negative, just depending on how you use it and what the intention is behind it. So,
And just like when you said double-edged sword, I ain't really heard nobody talking about Bitcoin lately, man. You know,
Well,
it's
Bitcoin has probably stayed more consistent than anything.
yeah, it's been down. It was up around 120,000 earlier, but
Yeah,
now it's been hovering in the 90s and 80, just treading water, man, you know. But
yeah.
yeah, nobody's talking about Bitcoin these days. There's a lot of few other cryptocurrencies, and that whole thing has changed a lot too, man. They they remember when it was nothing, and now they want to try to tax it.
Mm,
You gotta, pay at first Bitcoin was just vaporware, it wasn't real.
yeah,
But now it's real enough that they want to tax it. So I was like, man, you can't beat them, but
yeah.
you definitely don't want to join them either.
Facts. Well, this is another week, real life, real talk. And we're going to try to get back on course here
Yeah, man.
with the weekly shows, but definitely can find this on John's YouTube channel. You can find it on my Patreon and invite people, share the video. Um, you
And,
know,
man, I was just wondering too. I don't know if Brother Slade is. I have not seen him on any videos lately.
mm,
Yeah, I remember I told you about it because
yeah,
whenever he was always like, boom, as soon as it was up, he'd have a comment, and I haven't seen him, so I hope brother's doing all right, man. If you're out there, Brother Slade, give me a holler, man. Like a video or something, let us know you're still around, man. Because
yeah,
you was a number, you was been he's been riding with us since day one, man. So
yeah, for real. So we definitely love to hear from you and get a
and all the
comment.
yeah, and everybody else too that joined that listens and joins in. But yeah, especially him, just because I know he was a truck driver too. So
Yeah, yeah, I hope he's all right, especially the things that was going on with black truck drivers this last
yeah,
week.
yeah, that's exactly. But I
So,
haven't seen it, so hopefully he's all right. Maybe he just got tired of listening to us.
yeah, yeah. But until next time, Brother John, it's always good talking with you, and we'll do it
Always,
again.
man. Happy New Year, bro. Don't
I do mine in March, but
you know?
for those that do it, yeah, happy whatever to them. But
I
I'm doing mine in
I
March.
got in some trouble about Christmas, man. I told him, I said, I don't even think December 25th might not even be. That ain't even the day. And see how they flipped it around because now a new year is March. That's when that should be when it was supposed to be. Why they
Yeah,
gonna have it in January when it's cold and
yeah,
everything's dead? That was supposed to have been a symbol. A new year was everything coming back to life.
yeah,
Plant bloom, and so you see how they flip everything around, man.
yeah,
Like I
exactly.
say, even flipped, like to say the birth of Jesus, if that's what you want to call it. They even flipped that around. That was everything, man.
But see, the thing is, they can flip it. But once a person knows better, if
Yeah,
they choose to continue participating at that point, then it's on you.
yeah,
But I wouldn't care when they said New Year's is. I'm doing it in March. And
yeah.
so we have the power as people to do that. And once we realize I don't have to go with the prescribed narrative that they have said, I can create my own.
Hmm.
And that I think that's the first step when we start talking about freedom. Create your own narrative.
And man, and before I go, we have the power, man. Do you remember recently when Cracker Barrel wanted to change their logo or something?
I
And
ain't hear about that.
yeah, they wanted to change, and you know the origin of Cracker Barrel, why they
Yeah.
call it Cracker Barrel, all that.
Hmm.
But that's beside the point. But
Yeah.
they wanted to change the logo. The people said no. They started boycotting them and not going, and they changed it back.
Hmm.
So we can make change happen, but we have to be united. We have to, realize there's more of us than there are of them. But like you say, divide and conquer it's a hell of a drug, bro. It's a hell of a drug.
Been successful for them. It's got to
Yeah.
end at some point. But until next time, Brother John, you have a good rest of your week.
You too, my brother.
And
It's good catching up with you, man. Always, always.
you as
Enjoy
well.
that sunny weather down there. I'm gonna send you some
Dude,
snow.
it's cold down here. It's in the 40s right now. You see, I got the hoodie on.
But you ain't got no snow though, do you?
No, 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 no.
Yeah, I was out there shoveling snow right before we got on, man. So,
Yeah,
but
I
my
heard
wife
you
did.
been
She
getting
did get.
hit up there.
She did get me a little snow blower. So I was like, I don't need that, but hey, it worked.
Okay, okay.
Oh.
That's what's up.
All
All right, brother. Till next
right,
week.
dog.
Peace.
Peace, man.
All right.